Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Nikio with Outside the Ropes. Doing this video here in a response to KG21 Carlito, one of my favorite shows here on YouTube, and he did a video asking people to do video responses or leave text comments on why they decided to join the YouTube boxing community, when did they fall in love with boxing and whatnot. And I just want to share my story with you guys, man. I was about 3 years old, and my mom was watching a Muhammad Ali documentary, and I actually watched the whole documentary with my eyes glued to the TV. And it was just something about Muhammad Ali that just drew me in. You know, when it told the story about where he came from, how he got into boxing, and then he went on to become a young heavyweight champion by beating Sonny Liston, and then he went through his whole battle with the courts, over the whole military thing and like that. We all know the story. Us hardcore fans know about Muhammad Ali. So that story, she was watching that, and I just really looked up to Muhammad Ali. He was I'm all but 3 years old, and my hero should be a Ninja Turtle or Superman or Spider-Man or some shit, and my hero was fucking Muhammad Ali at the time. And my mom really didn't understand why, but I mean, I don't even understand how I was drawn to him at such a young age. But I even named my daughter Layla, just like he named his daughter, my firstborn daughter. So that's kind of how I got introduced to the sport. And it was actually weird because I remember in the first grade, the teacher was going around asking everybody, asking the kids, who's your hero, and the kids were saying, Spider-Man, Ninja Turtles, things like that. And I said Muhammad Ali, and the kids looked at me like, what? Like, who's Muhammad Ali? And then the teacher actually laughed at me and was like, you're just a kid. What do you know about Muhammad Ali? But anyway, that's how I got introduced to it. I wasn't really a hardcore boxing fan, of course, at that time, because I was still a kid. I was more of just a Muhammad Ali fan. He was my idol. And, when I actually got, into boxing was actually, I'm from South Pomona, you know what I'm saying? And things out there really ain't too, the relations out there between Mexicans and blacks really ain't too good, it goes way back, even before I was born, and it's still like that even now today. But ironically, my best friend happened to be Mexican, and he lived, about 4 houses down from where I stayed. And we actually used to be worse enemies, actually, because, weird story, in the first grade as well, a kid pushed me out of my chair, and, the teacher was reading a book in front of the class. And there was kids sitting in the chairs. I was one of them, and then there was kids on the floor in front of the teacher while she was reading the book. And one kid was playing with me, and he pushed me, and I happened to be holding a pencil, and I actually stabbed this kid that ended up being my best friend in the arm. And he said that he was going to get me back one day. And sure enough, man, in the 5th grade, me and him get into it, right? And I was hanging in there with him, okay? I was getting him, but then another kid decided to go ahead and jump in, and these kids jumped me. And I got up, and they both split up. The kid who jumped in ran one way, and the guy who ended up becoming my best friend ran the other way. I ran after him because I'm like, I'm getting your ass first. I ran him, I chased him. It was funny. He was laughing and shit. And the teachers came in and grabbed us up, and this is still in elementary school, but funny. Once junior high came around, we started walking to school together because he lived right there, and we ran into each other every morning walking to school, and we ended up becoming cool and talking and shit. And I ended up going to his house, playing basketball and shit like that. And his brother he actually worked for the post office. He actually delivered mail. And he was a boxing fan, and come to find out, his uncle actually, he has pictures of his uncle in the ring giving advice to Sugar Ray Leonard. And I was like, damn. So anyway, he bought some gloves, And you know, he told us to put them on. We're out there swinging crazy and not knowing what we're doing and fucking each other up and shit. And you know, eventually, you know, he cleared out his garage and he hung up a punching bag. Then he went and he bought some pads. Then he started showing us how to punch right, things like that. And then you know, he started off with just me and his little brother. And then eventually, you know, he ended up getting a gym that was actually at a church. It was like a gangster church. It was called Set Free. That's where all the gangsters went for some reason. I don't know why. But there was an abandoned or an empty room in the back, and he actually rented that out and bought a ring. And I was like, wow, you are serious, man. And he bought a ring, and he opened up the gym, man. I helped pass out flyers to people around the school and stuff like that. And I got into boxing. We started doing matches with amateur matches with you know, other boxers out of Chino and, you know, other gyms around the area. And that's really where I started really getting into boxing. You know, unfortunately, things happened for me, you know, where I couldn't continue with it. You know, it's very easy to get in trouble in Pomona, and as a kid, you know, I kind of fell into that trap. I didn't really focus, you know, I didn't keep the focus on boxing like I should have, but hey, what can you say? Things happen. And that's really where I started becoming a die-hard boxing fan. I started going to their house, watching, you know, I remember the first match that I seen over their house was actually Oscar De La Hoya versus Julio Cesar Chavez. And you know, I started watching matches like that. I couldn't afford cable at the time. You know, we were from South Pomona. We didn't have money. My mom didn't have money to purchase cable and all that stuff. So, you know, that's really where I started becoming a fan. And how I joined the YouTube boxing community is actually funny, because the first video I ever watched from boxing, from one of the boxing shows, was actually Talk Boxing, because I typed in Pacquiao versus Mayweather, and I saw Talk Boxing come up, and it was just this red, you know, he had the red background, and you know, I watched the video, and he used Mayweather's voice in the video, and the shit was funny as hell, man. And I subscribed to him, and when I subscribed to him, you know, when you hit the subscribe button, sometimes it'll show you, you know, shows that are like these. And then I saw 97 Rough and Blood Boxing. And I watched their videos, man. I liked the knowledge that they dropped, the intel that they got, subscribed to them, clicked on their channels, found, you know, KG21 Carlito, and, you know, then I started listening to the radio show and Leave It in the Ring and all that stuff. Then I found David Chin and you know, 916 Chris and Buddha Sai and all these different guys, man. That's how I started off with that, and they made me want to go and buy a camera so I can start doing this too. And I didn't own this camera until I started watching these videos, because I was like, okay, I want to put my own videos up too, because just like 916 Chris said in his video, you know, I'm the same. You know, I don't really have a lot of friends who really are into boxing. They're all into either football, die hard, or UFC, because they think boxing is fake and fixed and all that stuff. That's another story. But, you know, so that's why I do this, man. I like conversating with y'all, man. I like to read your comments, to see how you feel about it. And, you know, that's pretty much why I do it, man. I don't do it for subscribers, though I appreciate, you know, anybody who does want to hear what I have to say. And, you know, that's pretty much why I do this. So that's my story, and y'all be cool, man. All right.